Two.
Okay.
Hello, everyone.
Thank you. How are you?
I'm good. I had planned on sitting outside, but it's too windy, so.
Yeah, it was so cold. We were out by the river and we had to come inside.
I know. It seemed so beautiful out there, but I took this picture in Montana, so I'm just pretending that I'm there right now.
So this is our view now. We were just down there by the water, but don't worry, we have our journals. We have those with us.
Amazing.
So,
and I think I'm good on Facebook.
Watching, yeah, anyone who's watching, make sure you guys have your journals and ready to go.
Okay. I also want to make sure. Okay, so yes, make sure that you have your journal and as you get settled. And as Holly was mentioning, I am a graduate student. I'm studying to be a counselor. I study clinical mental health counseling. It's the same thing as being a therapist. It's pretty interchangeable. And I'm here to talk about self-care. Specifically, we're going to journal a little bit about self-compassion. But I think that right now, especially, kind of feeling isolated. I think a lot of us are experiencing disconnection from our friends and family. And while Facebook and FaceTime and these lives are really a beautiful, it's not the same as hugging your best friend or, being able to kiss your mom on the cheek. So really being present with those feelings. I think that with self-care, often we see self-care as being like bubble baths and face masks and lighting candles or watching our favorite movie, which those are all wonderful, wonderful ways to self-care and to relax, just like walking in, walking in nature and those things that are really, that kind of bring our mind peace and at ease.
Right.
But I think another aspect of self-care that we often overlook is all of the inner work that we need to do to stay emotionally, spiritually, mentally present in the moment. So I wanted to introduce that side of self-care tonight with this journal exercise, and hopefully it inspires you to kind of do some of the inner work that is going to really benefit you as being a whole human. And I think that those things are important right now, especially because when we're stuck at home, a lot of the things that we are able to push away with busyness are suddenly in our face. So our doubts, our grief, our insecurities, our frustrations, we're in a situation which is, the first of its kind as a whole world where we are all faced with the things that we struggle with. And being realistic about that, I think is kind of a first step of self-care and being able to take care of ourselves and take care of those things. So, although we aren't able to be with our best friends all the time and we're not able to go to each other's houses or go to the river together, I want this to kind of reconnect us, this activity to reconnect us with our self and realize that I am my own best friend and you are your own best friend. And that, yes, we can feel isolated, but, going out in the backyard or connecting with nature and holding space for humanness, for our human feelings, can really keep us from feeling so lonely. So grab your notebooks. And I would like to invite you to open to where there's 2 blank spaces. So if there's only if you've written on one side and this side's blank, go to the next page. So you have 2 blank ones. And on the left, the left page at the top, I want you to put my inner critic. And before you write anything else, I want you to really sit with this idea of what your inner critic is telling you. We all have inner critics. And
how many pages did you get, Rebecca?
2. Well, I mean, you can use more, but I just want to be able to do like this page, and then this page is going to respond to it. You can use as many as you need, but I would suggest if you need more than 1 page to like fill this page out and then turn it, leave this one blank, turn it, and then fill this one out again.
I only get 1 page to criticize myself.
So, Facebook, you can't hear Holly, but she said, I only get 1 page to criticize myself. Yeah, actually, that might be great. Maybe only give yourself 1 page. Goal. That is a good goal. Yeah, so just write my inner critic at the top. And before you write anything else, I just really want to take a moment to sit with that, sit with what it felt like to write my inner critic. For some of us, that's going to feel like home because we live there. That's the voice that we hear the most out of our day-to-day life. And right now, when we're either dealing with our kids or our spouse, or we're sitting at home by ourselves for days and days on end, that inner critic can become really loud. And that can become where we're living our days from, is from that voice. So as you kind of start sitting with this idea of that inner critic voice, I want you to start really thinking about what specifically does that voice say to you. And that's going to be different for everyone. You know, ideas of I can't, I'm not good enough at, I'm doing this wrong, or I'm doing too much of this or too little of this. So I just want you to take a few minutes and sit and kind of feel that. There are usually 2 ways that we handle this inner critic. And one of them is we really live in it and we look in the mirror and we have that negative self-talk where we are constantly speaking those things out loud sometimes to our family members or our friends. Oh, I'm stupid. Oh, this is whatever. But that negative self-talk, that's our inner critic. Or the other is we push it away and we pretend it's not there. But really it's very much a part of us. It's very human to be critical of ourselves. And in some situations, some criticism, some anxiety can be beneficial. If you look at survival, you know, oh, I need to get better at this. I need to, you know, it pushes you. It can be a drive, but then it becomes this overarching criticism that hinders us from really being our full self. So if you want to take, we'll say like 3, if you haven't started writing, you can start right now. We'll take about 3 more minutes. Again, keep all of that stuff on the left page. And you can do it bullet points. I would suggest how I do it is I say like what I say to myself in the mirror. So an example would be like, you should be doing more. You should be helping more. That's what my inner critic is telling me. So I'll give you just a minute. I'm going to write a couple of my own and then maybe we can share a little bit. And I really want to encourage you, if you are with us right now, to participate. You know, it can be really easy to just sit and be passive, but I would like to encourage you to be active and to actively participate in this thing called life right now with us.
I'm going to check our comments on Instagram for you. Marielle and they lost their phones, but they said they love this exercise. So yay.
Yes.
Keep going. And I love it too. Thank you.
And if your phone dies, that's okay because it'll be up for a while. So
yeah. So if anyone has some dying phones, go ahead and continue the exercise and we will post it later for you.
But no, this isn't the end of the exercise. So definitely definitely come back to it.
She had to leave.
So if anyone's feeling open to sharing, maybe something that their inner critic tells us. I'm a huge advocate for sharing. It's what led me to wanting to be a therapist, because when we're able to bring these things into the light, they don't hide. It can't hide in the shadows anymore. And when we share, oh, Jean on Facebook, yes, it's really easy to listen to our inner critic a lot. And you said used to, so I'm hoping you're not listening to it as much as anymore.
I told her to be quiet.
No, tell me the thing. So, when we share our feelings, or when we share our insecurities, or when we share our joys and our happiness, then we are able to connect to each other and realize that we're not alone in our humanness. So, like for me, one of the things that my inner critic says is that I should that I'm failing at my business right now. That's something that has been, I've been saying to myself a lot, like, you should be doing more, you should be more active, like you should be reaching out to potential clients more, and that you're failing at your business. And yeah, that's something that I feel a lot right now, and I'm saying to myself a lot. Jean,
I do that a lot. I make lists a lot. I don't know if your Facebook people can hear, but if I don't think I'm doing enough to help others, I just say what I am doing. Or I list out the people that I was able to help, or the things that I was able to do.
For sure.
And also being more accurate about your goals, being more realistic, and learning how much that you're able to do.
Facebook, I don't know if you can hear Holly, but she was saying like being realistic with your goals, and we'll come to that.
Yeah.
So just sitting for a moment before we run away from the feeling, like I was saying, and Jean, I'll share with Instagram what you just said. But before we run to like the way to fix the inner critic, I'm just encouraging us to be curious about those feelings that brings up, and give it space to say something. We often push it away, or we give it too much voice. So let's just sit in a mindful spot right now and acknowledge those things that we say to ourselves without giving them too much attention. So Jean on Facebook, she said that hers used to be that mine used to be that I wasn't good enough. Years of work to learn what to give space in my thoughts. Exactly. Absolutely. I think someone's commenting as Tonic Dayton, and I think that might be Lindsay. I'm not sure, but I feel that way initially, like I'm not doing enough, but I take a deep breath and listen to my body. Beautiful. Yes. On Instagram, I have my inner critic tells me that I'm not motivated enough to succeed in my business. Me too. Same. And again, that's why sharing is so powerful, because when we can connect with each other and say, like, yeah, me too. And that's really healing. That really says to me that I'm not the only one feeling this way. I'm not like a crazy person. I'm not, unusual. That I'm human, just like everyone else. Oh, Lisa. Okay, it was Lisa. I don't know why it says Tonic either, but I'll just know that it's you. Okay, so now that we've given ourselves some space to be mindful of this inner critic, and just to clarify, mindfulness, what that really means is just being conscious and aware. Like I was mentioning, when we sit with these things that can feel heavy, like criticism and self-criticism and negative self-talk and sometimes even self-hate, if we can sit with it in a way that's mindful, where we can acknowledge that those thoughts are there, but not allow it to go, like not go into it. So the way that I like to visualize it is like an airplane going across the sky. So like I can acknowledge the airplane is there, and I see it come into my line of vision and I see it go, but I'm not on the airplane. And that's where I want like this inner critic. These thoughts are like when we do this self-care of inner work, we do have to be mindful of the things that we say to ourselves, or the hard things like grief or, you know, depression and anxiety and the real issues that we struggle with. If we can start practicing coming towards those thoughts as being mindful and watching the plane go by without getting on the plane, then we are really close to working through those things. So, okay, so if you're finish your thought on your inner critic, if you're still there. And now I want to talk about our inner best friend. And this is where the self-compassion comes. I think, you know, a lot of the people that I've met through Tonic are all very compassionate people. And I think sometimes it's a lot easier to be loving and compassionate to other people, and a lot harder to be loving and compassionate to ourselves. So the reason that I wanted you to write everything on your left side is because directly, if this is your inner critic's quote, directly next to it, I want you to write your inner best friend's response. So come to it as like your best friend came to you and said, I'm not good enough. I've been eating too many snacks because I'm in quarantine and I'm gaining weight and I'm not being healthy and my kids are blah, 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 whatever your things are. And I want you to come at it as if it's your best friend telling you this, or your child, or your sibling, and respond to each criticism with loving kindness. So, for me, my criticism of myself, of you're failing at your business right now, you're not doing enough, you're not doing enough to help people. I'm a birth doula, and the policies in hospitals right now for birthing people are horrid. Like, I was reading articles today where in New York there was an entire week where not even their partner could be present in labor and delivery. And so for me, I'm like, I'm not doing enough. I'm not serving my potential clients enough. Like, I need to be doing more. But then meeting that as my inner best friend and saying, you know, you just started at this, and building a strong castle takes time, and you are available, and, you know, you're doing what you can by being present for the people that are around you. So take a minute to just start responding to yourself, basically. And I even put like a line, you know, between the thoughts so I could connect them. And I'm going to look at these comments here. Lisa said to replace the negative but acknowledge it. Absolutely. And that's exactly what this whole activity is all about. What's called cognitive reframing, which is taking a belief and then reframing it into a way that's beneficial for us. And then Jean on Facebook said, learning the principles of subtractive psychology helped me understand so many universal truths. Clarity by Jamie Smart definitely woke me up. I haven't read Clarity. I'll have to look into that. So coming back to this idea of an inner best friend, if you've written some responses, as you write them, I want you to sit with it. And I know that we don't have much time, and this might be something that you continue after we finish here. But really sit with what it feels like to validate yourself. Is it hard? Is it easy? What voice do you feel like you hear more often, your inner critic or your inner best friend? Or is it kind of 50-50, like it's the angel and the devil on your shoulder and they're constantly kind of going at each other? And, you know, really sit and feel that the validation, I think it's easy to take validation from others into consideration a lot faster than we take in validation from ourselves. So allow yourself the space to validate yourself and really feel validated. Really allow yourself just to be gentle with yourself and give yourself that loving kindness that you would so easily give someone else if they came to you with those exact same criticisms about themselves. On Instagram, this is something I've been practicing after going through a business mentorship. So much of building your own business is learning how you're holding yourself back and learning how to move forward. Absolutely. And I think when we give our inner critic too much space, when we're the type of people that give that, we really live from that inner critic voice, then we do hold ourselves back because we're afraid of failure, or we're afraid of what people think, or we're afraid that we're going to let ourselves or someone else down. And so that's why this validating of the inner best friend of, then once we reach that, where we can validate ourselves and where we can come at our criticisms mindfully, then we can start sifting through what is a real issue. Because like I was mentioning, criticism, anxiety, things like that, they do have a function as a human. They aren't inherently bad. They can really keep us motivated, inspired, working hard. It's like the whole idea of constructive criticism. There's constructive criticism and there's destructive criticism. So once we get those and we can kind of sift through these inner criticisms and the negative self-talk, we can figure out, okay, which of these are okay to maybe kind of hold on a part of, and which of these do I need to work on letting go of? And that's when the inner best friend activity, because if your best friend came to you and said, I'm really lazy and I really want to be a botanist, but I don't want to read about botany or something, then you'd probably be like, yeah, well, I guess if you want to be a botanist, you should probably apply yourself to botany. That's a legitimate concern, But if it's someone's in their doctorate program and they're writing a dissertation and, they haven't gone out in a month because they are slammed with homework, and they come to you and they say, I'm not doing enough, I feel like I should know more, that's not realistic. So working through those criticisms and seeing which of these can I reframe to be helpful for me, and which of these do I just need to really let go. Yes, they are thoughts and not facts. Absolutely. So does anybody want to share any responses that their inner best friend has said to them? Anyone? I'll just sit here in silence until someone shares. I'm just kidding. So I just wanted to really invite this as a self-care practice, and kind of just invite this notion that self-care is more than just sipping tea in your bathtub, which, don't get me wrong, that's exactly what I'm going to do tonight. It's a great thing to sip your tea in a candlelit bathroom. But that there is some inner work that we can do that will, especially if we have big dreams. We look at Tonic and it's inspiring, and we look at our friends and our loved ones who are doing really fun, awesome things, and often that can lead to criticism. But when we can really be mindful of their experiences of being human and our experiences of also being human, when we can mindfully identify the negative self-talk and the criticism, then we can start working on kind of taking that next step. And then what I want, the thought that I wanted to leave you guys with today is something that was really brought to my attention this last week. And I think that it's really, really potent for the season that we're in right now, is that we as humans are able to hold more than one emotion at the same time. And in therapy, this is called the both and concept of I can feel both joyful and mourn for the people who are affected right now really negatively. I can feel both peace and also recognize that the world is not at peace right now. I think that people who have servant hearts, like a lot of the people in this community, we have a tendency to not allow ourselves to feel peace and joy and happiness because we see other people suffering. And really introducing this very simple concept of you can feel both at the same time. That is what being human is. That is why we as mammals are different than other mammals, is because we can hold these big, big thoughts and these big emotions and a lot of them at once. So if you're being critical of yourself because, you know, you feel like you're not doing enough, or you had a really great day today and you know that other people didn't, it's okay to feel both. So, Jean said her inner best friend says to her every morning, you are unique, loved, and doing your best to stay living in the now. I love that so much. We should all be saying that to ourselves every morning. And then on Instagram, this is the perfect time to do what you love for yourself again. You help others by helping yourself. Absolutely. Being of service, you can't fill other cups with an empty pot. So make sure that you are gentle with yourself and, you know, doing what you can. And if you have the capacity to serve others right now and, you know, giving a little extra love to other people, that's great. And if you don't have that capacity now, it's also okay to receive. So I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend. Thanks for having me. And I will hopefully talk to you guys soon. Bye, Holly. Bye, Lindsay.
Bye. Thank you, Rebecca.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Okay, so, Facebook, stay on live because next we have Eden, and she's going to come with a beautiful sound bath, which is the perfect way to kind of just soak in some sound and soak in everything that we talked about. So I hope you have a beautiful evening, and I will talk to you guys later.